Thank you for listening to this podcast from TRE, Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain and around the world. For more information, please visit TRE.radio.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown.
Live comment and discussion with studio guests. Viewpoint.
It is Tuesday, the 14th of July. Welcome to Viewpoint, Talk Radio Europe's current affairs programme with a panel of invited guests where we discuss the issues of the day. If you want to get involved with this morning's show, get your viewpoint across. It can be anything national, international or local. These are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Joined in the studio by Aria Babapule and Andres Gallardo. We'll speak to them in a little while. But first of all, let's have a look at what's making the front pages in the UK and elsewhere as well. New twist in Killer Hunt and One of a Kind Anne seem to be making the front pages this morning, and we'll be looking at this as well. Most of the front pages in the UK lead on counter-terrorism police taking over the investigation into the death of Anne Widdecombe. The Times says the about turn was the result of material found in the suspect's house after officers had previously said there was nothing to suggest the crime was politically motivated or linked to terrorism. According to the Daily Mail, that material included Russian communist literature. Front page of the Daily Mirror features a pixelated CCTV image of what the paper says is the key suspect in the case being arrested. He was originally detained on suspicion of murder, but since been rearrested on suspicion of terrorism offences. Daily Telegraph suggests that Devon and Cornwall police are under fire for seemingly talking down the possibility that Anne Widdecombe might have been deliberately targeted. The force says it was pursuing multiple lines of inquiry. Guardian carries a warning from scientists and environmentalists that the UK is in the grip of a fire wave as extreme heat provides ideal conditions for wildfires. A particular concern is that more fires seem to be taking place in urban areas rather than remote countryside. Wildfires have burned from places including North Yorkshire, Greater Manchester and London in the past few days. Most of the papers pay their respects to the actor Sam Neill, who's died at the age of 78. He gained international recognition for roles in films such as Jurassic Park and The Hunt for Red October. Daily Mail calls him a gentleman. The Daily Express describes him as a true star. Daily Telegraph says he was a favourite of casting directors and cinephiles alike, and he had equality to any film he starred in, whether it was a blockbuster or an indie production. And several of the front pages feature photographs of Jude Bellingham relaxing in the pool ahead of England's World Cup semi-final against Argentina tomorrow night. Playing it cool is the Daily Mirror's headline. For its part, the Times notes that plans are being made for Sir Keir Starmer to travel to the US to watch England if they make it into Sunday's final in what would be his final trip as Prime Minister. Looking at some other international front pages around the world, looking at your front pages and they say front pages throughout. Well, as I said before, Daily Telegraph, and I'll have to look at those a little bit later on because, as always, the machines have decided not to play ball with me, and there was I trying to be all ahead of myself and whatever else. But those are your headlines on this Thursday, the 14th of July.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Then joined in the studio, as always, by the A-team, Andres and Aria. Good morning to you, Andres. Straight ahead of me this morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Andres Gallardo.
Are you well?
I haven't been well since 1975, but that's another story indeed.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Nixon.
I know you.
Are you well, Andreas, darling?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for asking. I know your concern is genuine.
Yes, it is.
It was a laugh.
Are you okay? I mean, you know, were you happy?
I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
Yeah, because Spain, France tonight, and I'm just nervous.
You are, are you? We'll come on to that. But yes, and also by obviously that football fanatic who is Alia Babapule. Association Football tonight, Alia.
Indeed. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Giles and panel.
Yes, indeed. So, 952-78-4000 is the phone number. Studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Official. You can WhatsApp me. And +34 645 9967 95. I've got a poll up on the Facebook page, which is Talk Radio Europe Official, and we're going to come on to this because it's the a major. I think we can describe it as the major story after the murder of Anne Widdecombe. Do we think that politicians in the UK should have round-the-clock police protection? And I'm asking that. At the moment, it went up. We've only had a couple of votes in, so there's no point actually revealing what the thing is. But if you want to get involved with that vote, you can find it on Talk Radio Europe Official. So this is the story I want to kick off on today with this. I mean, first of all, it was announced her death. Anne Widdecombe, of course, who had been a prime mover and shaker in the Conservative Party for many, many years. And then she had been part of, it was then the Brexit Party, I believe. She was one of when Britain left the EU, she was one of the MEPs, along with Nigel Farage, who were waving their union flags as the UK left Brussels, famously, all grinning. She had also had a stint as a TV personality, I believe, as on Strictly Come Dancing, etc. So it was announced that she had died been found dead in her home, and then we got the shocking news that it was a murder. And then now it seems to have been announced that because it was the police made the announcement that they were looking for a white male. One man was arrested, he was later released, and now we have a situation where a second man has been arrested, and it is now they're now saying they have found political communist propaganda in his house. And it kind of begs the question, is the UK politics, if you like, a safe space? Should we be looking for protection for our MPs around the clock? I mean, could we even counter that? Andres, you're champing at what's the situation in Spain, actually? Do you? I mean, I know that when Aznar is in town, former Prime Minister, who's got a house, of course,
near me.
Near you? Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go then. That's probably the reason he moved there.
Thank you.
He's got a house in Guadalmina, and obviously we come to this time of the year when the whole of Madrid decamps down here. But when he's in town, because A, you can hear his wife hacking badly around the golf course. But B, true story. And she's the former mayor of Madrid, isn't she? The famous relaxing cup of coffee that blew Spain's and Madrid's bid for the Olympics several years ago. Go on, Andres.
No, I mean, you were saying about that.
Yeah.
You see the police presence there.
Just a bit.
And all prime ministers get police protection throughout their, the rest of their lives. So it's part and parcel of what they get after they've finished in government. What I was going to say about the case of Anne Widdecombe is that there must be a good reason for the police to be handling this situation the way they're doing it. But it's quite baffling because I think the way they're handling, the main aim is to avoid speculation.
Yeah.
Or so they say. But the way that it's been handled is just, I think, in my opinion, is fueling speculation because the news they come through, first of all, they announce that the lady died.
Yeah.
So everyone was to assume, okay, but she's had a heart attack or stroke or something unfortunate and then she died. Then later on they said, she's been murdered. I said, hold on a second. It's very different to die from natural causes to being murdered. So the speculation is, was it a burglar? Was it something like that? Then the next thing is they stressed a lot the person who's committed the murder is white.
Yeah.
So to avoid speculation from, racist.
Whoa. Yeah. You can't just go, Andres, you can't just go off and saying to avoid speculation from racists. I mean, just to say it doesn't play into the hands of those who might automatically assume that it's, I don't know. Yes.
Okay. You put it in better words than I did. thank you very much for that.
It's quite all right. That's part of my job.
But the point I want to make is that they stress the word white.
Yeah, because we come on the back of what happened when those 3 little girls were horrendously murdered, and the thing went round. It was a guy who literally got off a boat, walked into a girls' school, and slaughtered 3 girls. So we don't want to have that going online. Right, off we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next point is that a person is arrested.
Yeah.
Then the person gets de-arrested, and then now the person gets arrested again.
Different people. Is it different people? These are different people. The first one who's arrested is not this. He was released because he was no longer of interest in inquiries, and then they got a new suspect who they've now arrested.
Is he not the same guy?
No, it's not the same guy. It's a different guy.
Okay.
All right. So
whatever it is,
anyway, yeah.
What they are handling this way because they want to avoid speculation, and what I think they are triggering speculation because we don't actually know what happened there, and people like to know, and then people's imaginations run wild. And as we know, social media is a great platform for people to let their imagination go.
Any kind of theory possible.
Yeah, I mean, indeed. I mean, this is the point. I mean, the police aren't under. The problem that we're seeing, okay, so this is twofold in my honest opinion, Ali, and I'll let you get your thoughts in a minute. But, you know, as I said before, this is the problem that we have now. The police are under no obligation to release any information on an ongoing inquiry. They can just say, you know, this is currently a murder. You know, this is currently a murder inquiry. Therefore, we do not need to release any information. But because of the febrile. Thank you, febrile. What would I do without my little English Oxford Dictionary standing by my side? Febrile and fevered. Political debate that we find ourselves in. They find actually in court to you too. They find themselves having to say, whoa, before you all go on going, it'll be somebody of an quote unquote an ethnic origin, etc. They have to say it's a white male. And that is a mark of where we are now, isn't it, basically?
Definitely. I mean, you're quite right. Speculation is one of these things, unfortunately, with social media, as Andres says, goes to the forefront of everything. He said, she said, we didn't do, we did, etc., etc. Nobody knows anything, actually, except the people who are involved. And as you've said quite rightly, Giles, in an ongoing investigation, I don't think things should be released into the wild general public for more speculation until they've got something absolutely concrete. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the perpetrator or perpetrators and the investigators. I mean, and when that's done and they've got something which they can talk about, then we should know about it. Otherwise, we're going to hinder any kind of an ongoing investigation.
It's right that the police don't have to, sort of release every single thing that they do. This is not I can understand that. On the other hand, I know the thirst for information because he's a public figure. So both the media and the people in general want to know what happened there.
Well, also, she's a reform MP. She had been a reform, whatever you want to call it, MP. So that, again...
Been a conservative and a reform MP, and so she's been on TV and everything. So it's a person of interest or a public figure, put it that way. So a public figure. So people they want to know what it is. It's quite shocking. I was shocked when I heard that she died first thinking it was of a heart attack or something like that. To know then that she's been murdered, then obviously you think, how could that happen? Who did it? Why did it? But of course, the police have to be cautious. I've heard someone saying the other day they have to be cautious amongst other things because whatever they do, whoever they charge, it will have to stand up in court. Of course. And if there's any mistakes made there could be a way out for the perpetrator. So, of course, they have to be cautious. But on the other hand, it's all very strange, and if they're trying to stop speculation, I think they're not doing very well in that sense because everyone is speculating.
But they're hamstrung, aren't they, a little bit, because you can't tell people what's going on because it will impede the investigation. And on the other hand, what you just said, people have a thirst for what is going on, and you can't actually stick your nose into an ongoing terrorist investigation, not just a murder.
The thing with information is that we want everything very quickly now, and with all kind of details. I think as a general public, and I include myself, that we should come down a little bit, because the truth will come out and we'll know what's happened. We just have to wait a little bit until they do their job. That's what it comes down to. So
exactly.
I mean, the latest thing is, police arrested a white British man in Rotherham on Saturday on suspicion of Widdicombe's murder, and initially said there was nothing to suggest a terrorism link. But the Home Secretary, Mahmood, said new information had come to light which changed the character of the investigation, and the suspect was not known to Britain's counter-radicalisation scheme, Prevent. Now, Prevent isn't just, for quote-unquote Islamic terrorism, which is one of who's favourite words. Radical Islam, excuse me, that's his favourite word. But, it also works the other way for far-right extremism as well. Are you gesturing at me to say, you wanted to say, no, okay.
No.
So the suspect had been rearrested. Excuse me. You were right and I am wrong. The suspect had been rearrested. So
that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought he'd been rearrested.
I can be wrong.
No, of course.
Really?
Well, James Brown, famous in their relations, said, "I may not be right, but I'm never wrong." On suspicion of commission, preparation, or instigation of acts of terrorism, has appealed to the public for investigation. Security for politicians is under scrutiny. As two serving British members of Parliament have been killed in the past decade. Joe Cox, of course, stabbed by a Britain First activist during the Brexit campaign, and David Amis, who, of course, was stabbed by a man who was quote unquote inspired by militant group Islamic State. I mean, the first one was in the street. The second one was at David Amis's surgery. They are saying that there should be protection for members of Parliament, but there's a huge cost involved in all of this.
Massive.
It was the case where. As I was just saying to Alia before we started the show, every former Prime Minister of the UK has 24/7 police protection.
Yeah.
And that kind of worked when you had 2 or 3 sort of ex-Prime Ministers. But after this weekend, there are going to be... How many are there going to be, Alia? 11. There will be 11 British prime ministers who need 24/7 protection. That comes at and that's
tremendous cost.
Travel. I mean, in the States, I think all senators get police protection, but that's paid from some massive purse.
And ex-presidents.
Yeah, and ex-presidents as well. Yeah, so
I don't think it's practical to have. I think 650 MPs all with police protection 24 hours. Can you manage that logistically? I don't think you can. Well, you could, but the cost of it would be massive.
It'd make the defence budget.
Because just 24 hours means that you need to have at least 2 policemen every 8 hours. You need 6 to be rotating and everything. You multiply that by, and then the cost of transport and travel and expenses and everything. Very, very expensive exercise. So I don't think it's viable. So what to do? Just ask everyone to calm down a little bit.
From a Spanish perspective, I mean, when you look at during the horrendous times of the 70s and the 80s with ETA, I mean, they blew up. ETA blew up, wasn't it? The prime minister, the next leader in waiting, wasn't it? With the car bomb in the 70s when they blew him over. Who was it? The admiral?
The Carrero Blanco. He was a prime minister.
Yeah,
he was a prime minister at the time, 1973.
That's the one. Yeah.
And he was blown up in the air in the middle of Madrid when he was driving to church or from church. Anyway, I mean, we've had political violence in Spain since the late 60s up to 2011.
Yeah,
it's funny. There is a documentary that has just come out.
Now. Is it 15 years since? Is it 15 years since? It is 15 years since I told you.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how time goes past.
Yeah, but there is a documentary that just come out this week in Netflix. Can I say Netflix?
Netflix?
Yeah, there's other...
we just did anyway.
Other platforms available. But this particular one is in Netflix, so I'll say Netflix. Yeah. About the death in 1997 of a councillor, a PP councillor in a small town. So it was nobody. 29-year-old guy.
A young guy,
yeah. He was kidnapped and killed within 24 hours. 48 hours, sorry. The documentary shows what happened during those 2 days, or in the 48 hours. And he was just nobody councillor, nice guy, who had, sort of had his job and everything else. And on the side, he dedicated some time to politics. He was kidnapped and assassinated in 1997 by ETA. So we have had the experience of having political violence in Spain for a long, long time. And it's particularly cruel to see that, especially with, the case of this guy.
But the one thing about that case in 97 was the revulsion that it, across all parties, that it had, because this was a 29-year-old, and he was a councillor. He was he wasn't a leading political figure. He wasn't a firebrand
village councillor,
basically. And that was, you can argue that really sort of turned the tide against particular branch.
They say it was the beginning of the end for ETA, for the terrorists, was that particular case, because the cruelty of the murder was so bad that repulsed everyone, all the parties, all the people. Even some of activists from ETA were against the execution of this guy, and they asked this commando of terrorists not to do it, but they ended up doing it. After the documentary, I looked into it and I saw that there are the two main culprits. There were three on it. One apparently died of natural causes. The other two are in jail. They're due to come out in 2030, I believe, 2030, 2031. So, they won't even be 60 by the time they come out. And that causes me repulsion to think that these cold-blooded killers, after what they did, they will enjoy freedom and they carry on living. And it's just like to me, it's like hard to accept that our justice system allows for these people to sort of come out of prison and be, walking around the streets again, while this guy, 29 years old, will actually executed. I mean, if you see the documentary, you'll see what they did to him. It's just unbelievable. So going back to what we're talking about, the political violence, we've had it. The UK had the IRA, we had ETA, we had Brigate Rose in Baden-Meinhof
in Germany.
So the political
Italy
violence was more prominent years ago. And is this something that is going to have a renaissance in current politics, or is just a one-off here and there?
The thing is, though, because we've become so radicalised in our politics, because politics has become this great shouting match, not that it was never thus so, but what I'm saying is for the more extreme versions that you have, and because the language that we use in, looking at the Daily Mail, the infamous enemies of the people, which they put out on the front page about, it is inflammatory. And, Joe Cox was, you can argue that Joe Cox's murder was brought on by that. It wasn't some Islamic State inspired person with mental health problems, as we saw with the tragic death of Sadiq Ames. But, this guy, the person who murdered, mother, and wife, Joe Cox, shouting Britain first as he stabbed her, because our discourse is very much of the confrontational, and people. I was listening to an interview with a Labour MP, and she gets death threats. She gets people coming up in the street in front of her children saying that your mother, basically allows child murderers to go free. And we've, a lot of politics has come to the shouting stage. I mean, this would never, in the 70s in the UK and the 80s in the UK, we certainly hadn't got to that stage, had we? I mean, that's half a thing, Ali.
I can't even remember ever seeing that sort of thing or hearing about it back then. It just wasn't. I think also, unfortunately, with what has been going on in the United States, the opening up of the hate against any kind of person who doesn't seem to fit your particular form of or way of thinking has spread to other countries. Now it's become sort of open flood for any Tom, Dick and Harry who thinks that I'm walking down the street and my little brown face is just is offensive to him. So he can come up and stab me and say, get out of here, forgetting that I probably am a lot longer British citizen than he is. And then they say, it's all a horrible mess which has been put on the world now we have to face the consequences of all of this, and quite frankly, Giles, I don't see it ever coming to an end. I think it's escalating.
Yep, Andres.
Yeah, no, I was going to say there's a pivotal point here in political violence, which was the assault to the Capitol in the United States.
Yeah,
I think that point is almost it was like
Trump.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
January
almost the
6th.
administration, or the ex-president, or still president at the time, sort of allowed or even promoted that to happen. It was like opening the floodgates to recognize violence as a way of doing politics. And I think that it's a message that was sent out and then is sort of not protected, but it's made violence a legitimate way of defending your political view, which before that assault to the Capitol wasn't something that would be accepted anywhere. Now it seems that opened the floodgates to a different way of doing politics
also,
through violence. You
can also argue that you used to have to write an angry letter into a newspaper or send it and post it to a certain person, and that would give you a time to cool off unless you were a card carrying whatever. But of course, if you, and this is in no way absolving these cretins of what they say, but I remember when England, and again, this is going to sound like a facile thing, but hey, I'm the presenter, when England went out on penalties or lost something to the Italians, and some school teacher was like, because of the black players, and because he was obviously had several thousand lagers. Now that's not condoning, but you see, had he had to write that in a letter to
a newspaper,
he would have got up the next morning, regretting his life choices, obviously. But because he put it on social media immediately, and that got him sacked and the whole thing and vilified. But this is what I'm saying. Those idiots who, as the saying goes, would you say something to that person in public without getting a punch in the face? And that this is the problem. But more and more people will see this. They're impressionistic. The algorithms put more and more of this stuff. I was listening to a report the other day about an American woman who was convinced that there was a 70% population in the UK was 70% Muslim, and this was,
We're all living under Sharia law.
Living in Sharia law.
Sharia law.
Sharia law. Yes, that don't impress me much. And also the and King Charles was a Muslim as well, and it was because there's nothing says Muslim like being in your own church.
Camilla wears actually a hijab when she's at the palace, when she takes the tiara off. Come on.
Now, Paul's come in. Thank you on the WhatsApps. Police should simply have said all lines of investigation are ongoing, and they will make the appropriate announcement at the right time. Too late. Farage, Reform UK and supporters are straight out of the blocks using performative stunts to deflect from the £5 million gift and other dodgy finances. The police ask Reform UK not to speculate, so Reform ignore this and even attack the police. The Widdicombe family asked for non-politicisation and respect. Reform ignore their request and even attack them. Close friends ask people to respect the family wishes. Reform turn on the friends. Journalists report this. Reform then attack the press. Going to a break and then back with more Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always live, always lively. It is 24 minutes to the top of the hour. Joined in the studio by Andres Gallardo and Ariad Babapule, looking at. Are you okay though? Are we in communication?
No, I'm not. But don't worry about it. I've got what I need.
Have you got what you need?
Yeah.
But you can't always get what you want. But sometimes you might get what you need, as the Rolling Stones once said. Recognise that song, Andres?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't always get what you want.
Thank you very much indeed. Just checking. Haha, you little muso, you. I have to get up very early in the morning to catch you out, Gallardo.
I even heard the new album out last week.
Oh.
Yeah, terrible.
They said very nice things about yours. Right. So, Miguel Ángel Blanco, las 48 horas que lo cambiaron todo, is one of the most important cases. This is from Don, one of the most important cases in modern Spanish history. This is what we were talking about from before.
Yeah.
He was 29 years old, councilman for Partido Popular in the Basque Country, kidnapped in July 1997. They gave the government 48 hours to move all Etna provinces, but obviously ETA prisoners were they didn't have ETA prisoners in jail in the Basque Country.
That's correct.
They used to transport them.
Yeah.
Whole country. You're right. The whole country mobilised. Millions protested with hands painted white. After 48 hours, he was found shot. His murder actually turned to public opinion and marked the beginning of the end for ETA. Netflix says the documentary will revisit those 48 hours and how the solidarity changed Spain. Directed by John Sistiaga, still in post-production for 2026, it says here. So no release date. But you said
he's on. He went on live on the anniversary, which was last week, I think.
Yeah, 3rd of July. To the lines we go. Let's see, make sure this one's actually... Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Giles. Morning, panel. On this wonderful summer's day.
Yeah, you just blew everybody's eardrums out, but thank you, Pompey. How you doing?
I'm sorry.
Now I saw photographs of you on the social media, my friend, sporting an England shirt. I saw a picture of you with an England shirt on. What's going on? It's just yes, go on.
I'm being totally serious now. I'll take great offence to that because I haven't put it on. Which links in... Right. I'm being serious now.
Okay.
Which links in to the conversation. Sorry, you don't have to take umbrage over it.
I'm not taking umbrage. Other small villages are available, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, or Viagra or aspirins. Getting back to what you're saying, it's not going to get any better, the political divide, until people appreciate that it's on both sides. I was then going to go on to say, I don't do Facebook and social media, blah, blah, blah.
Sorry, it was a WhatsApp, Gary. It was a WhatsApp. My apologies.
Whatever. As I say, I don't do technology. I've still got the 5 VCRs, the down-set recorder, cassette recorder, and that'll do for me. But until people realise, I mean, as I say, I don't go on Facebook and all the social medias. It's bad enough going on this show when people spout rubbish. Now, did you see what I've done there? See now, what I've just said then goes on to say what is offence and what you should say and shouldn't say, because I'm getting a lot of trouble lately, and I don't use the excuse, for want of a better word, of being my age, but I don't get these memorandums. I go through newspapers, both on the left and on the right, and it comes out with words like C ... And I said to my wife, they're playing Scrabble again, darling. I've no idea. And it's just, I won't repeat the words, but apparently there's so many words you're not allowed to say. Who makes these rules up?
Well, it's just, but the C. I mean, people can't use the word count. No, I know that. So therefore, but
I should get serious. Right? Yep. And obviously, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, jolly good.
I was brought up using the N word.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now that to
Newcastle.
me is the same. That to me is like any other word, but it's in context. If I'm abused by someone of a certain type, whatever, then I'm going to use that back. But I don't bring. It's not a. For example, my daughter was over on holiday the other day, and she's staying at a place, and usually she goes a bit of upper class, a bit of high class. You're sounding really bored, Giles. You are.
I'm listening.
But she stays in this place, and she said, it's too noisy, it's got kids there, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, she's just recently married without children. So I said, well, why don't you go to, and suggested another place. She said, no, I can't go there because it'll be extremely quiet because of the old people there.
Right.
And I said, if I twisted that round and said you wouldn't go in an area where a certain type of people would go, you would go ballistic and call me a racist.
There's a new thing, Gary, about ageism as well. There's a whole thing about saying if people being called over the hill.
That's ageist in itself, surely.
Exactly.
That's ageist in itself.
Yes, indeed. And those of a certain age will remember the classic Fawlty Towers with the Major, where he drops those particular words in, beginning with N and another one beginning with W, because it was the 70s. But there you go. If you know the one I mean.
Yes, I know. In fact, you just plugged into something else. I don't go with this algorithms. I'm getting things on my phone which I haven't gone on. I really haven't gone on, right? And for example, it's coming out with Love Thy Neighbour at the moment, and I'm thinking, and this is me speaking now, I'm thinking, Christ, did we really say that then? Now, on the school of thought, that like Alf Garner and Love Thy Neighbour, it showed the bigotry and the racism of the white person. But, you know, even now I'm thinking, oh, did we really say that? No, we know times change and you're supposed to evolve, with the emphasis on suppose. I mean, as I said a couple of months ago, which you quite enjoyed, you know, progress is mixed up with motion. We're moving forward, but we're not getting any better.
Yeah.
You liked it then. Do you like it today?
Yeah, very good.
I better go now because you sound about as interested as...
Or as interesting,
whatever.
probably, Gary, in your opinion. But there we go. Listen, thank you very much for the call in, my
Hey,
friend.
can I just ask a quick question?
Go on, then.
What was I doing in this picture?
You were holding an England trophy, but you were holding, I was going to say the Jules Rimet, but that will date me. It's the wrong one. I think you'll find you're looking into the future. Was it the World Cup? It was indeed. Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Gary.
Right, bye-bye.
There we go. Gary, of course, regular caller. Quick time check, 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Go take a quick break and then we're back into the last 15 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint.
Viewpoint with Giles Brown.
Always lively. If you want to get your viewpoint across, these are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then, politics. Here we go. Right, Nigel Farage. There you go. So there you go. You see, that's Nigel Farage has been accused of exploiting and when it comes to death, it's political propaganda, but also he is at his lowest popularity rating.
You're welcome.
Since for a very long time. Well, this comes weeks after the mounting criticism after it emerged he'd failed to declare a £5 million gift he was given by crypto billionaire Christopher Harborne shortly before becoming an MP. He originally said the money would be used to fund his personal safety, and of course Farage has also decided that he would call an election for his seat in Clacton, and this has been greeted by the other opposition parties saying they're not going to stand, and the only person who will stand is the perennial who's taken over the esteemed mantle that Screaming Lord Sutch used to have as the Monster Raving Loony Party, and that is, of course, Count Binface. Right. So, and we have this. Binface has got plans to nationalise Adele, restore the price of 99 flakes to 99p. Do you know what 99 flake was? The ice cream.
Yeah.
I like the 99 flake. And reintroduce CFAX, right? Which was and just it sort of reminds us of the nation that we used to be. This is a kind of funny Britain I know exists and the one I want to live in. I mean, I'm not sure with nationalising Adele, but, you know. Come on, what are your takes on this then? Come on.
Look, looking from the outside, I find it quite pathetic, actually, what Farage has done. Yes. I mean, it's like mixing one thing with another. He's being investigated for a donation that he had, and then suddenly he stands down and calls for a by-election. What's that anything to do with it? It's like saying, look, you cannot investigate me because I'm popular. Is that what he's trying to say?
Well, he's trying to say an awful lot of things and failing dismally, but yes.
And also, I don't understand why the system allows for someone who's already elected as an MP to stand down and have to be re-elected again when he's already been elected. So it is... I mean, the by-election should be, in my opinion, something that is said, if you cannot continue being an MP, then yes, we call it a by-election. But just for fun, You just can't do it. It's the cost involved, everything to consider. And then to win the by-election, which I assume he will, and say, look how popular I am. How can I possibly have done anything wrong? I mean, where's the logic on all this? Can someone explain?
No, but maybe Count Binface can.
Well, I mean, the thing is here, Farage said, I decided that the people of Clacton should be the judge of my actions. I will fight to win. I will fight to continue the political revolution that reformers started. So the Labour Party, the right-wing Conservative Party and the centrist Liberal Democrats all announced they would boycott the Clacton votes. Sir Keir Starmer said the move was a desperate stunt and it's a gimmick designed to distract from serious allegations about Farage funding. And so the only person to challenge him at the moment is Count Binface, who describes himself as a space politician. He's been put himself as a British forward in British elections for years. He's part of a long tradition of the UK of satirical candidates who stand against prominent politicians as a way of drawing attention to their absurdities. Game on, Nige, Binface posted on X.
Wonderful.
He's got more than 200,000 followers on X. I heard that there's apparently going to be a Labour Friends of Binface sort of. They won't be campaigning. The parties aren't going to send out Labour candidate or Labour canvassers to say, we're going to fight for Binface. But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting one indeed. The Wednesday appearance on BBC Radio, Binface said, were the positions who refused to join the contest, were they afraid of him rather than Farage? Are they running scared from old Binny, or do they think that Nigel's running a cunning stunt? He told BBC's Radio 4's Today programme. Ask what's going to happen. Ask what his appeal was going to be to the people of Clacton. Binface said, "I'm not Nigel Farage." So that's where we stand at the moment.
To be honest, I mean, it's very funny. I have to admit that, but it's not serious to use politics this way and to have this guy Binface, very funny and everything, but it's not. He's not proposing anything. It's making look politics as something irrelevant and stupid when
it isn't, of course.
But in reality is something quite serious that affects our day-to-day lives. So I think it's, as I said at the very beginning, it's all pathetic. And I think Farage is to blame. Farage is to blame for a lot of things, I mean, every time I look at certain things in the UK, the pivotal point is Nigel Farage, yes. And let's start with Brexit, if you like, and many other things. So to be using politics to make a comedy sketch, I don't think it should be allowed. I don't think the system should allow for that to happen.
Right. So sorry, Alia.
I was watching something also showing Nigel Farage looking suitably serious, walking up towards, don't know where it was, with a bouquet of flowers in his hand, and that was all performance.
Well, no, yeah, but
Absolutely
hang on. I mean, no, that was. I mean, Farage and Widdicombe were political, on the same political bent for a very long time, and I mean, much as you might not get on with Nigel Farage and despise his politics, and to a certain extent Widdicombe as well. But people are saying that Widdicombe was the sort of old school politician that you could just disagree with. We could have but you could still have a glass of wine with afterwards. And so you have to, there is some. You see, this is the problem. I think we in 9 cases out of 10, there's one huge glaring orange exception. These people are actually decent human beings, although to a certain extent their politics may be a little bit twisted and we do not agree with them.
You're being polite.
I'm being polite, yeah, believe it or not. Well, I went to a good school and I did nothing academically, so I might as well have good manners. Thank you, Dad. But yeah, hello.
Yeah, but here's a question. Are you going to trust a guy like Farage to be a prime minister when he cannot even justify a £5 million donation from some guy in Thailand and go through the proper channels? Forget, if you're a prime minister, he's going to be managing one of the largest budgets in Europe, and he's got to have a very important decision making to make. But at this point, we cannot trust him to have done.
I wouldn't trust Farage as far as I can throw a copy of Mein Kampf, and I can throw a copy of that magazine a long way.
The question is to British people who are the electorate to say, are you going to vote for a guy who cannot even manage a donation properly?
Go on.
He failed to declare a criminal and crypto gambler, paid for his staff, security drivers, social media output in year before election. And he also has received free accommodation in Westminster from George Cottrell.
Posh George. Posh George.
And he's also involved in all sorts of...
Well, Posh George was done as an FBI sting because he was trying to launder money on the dark web.
Absolutely atrocious, everything.
The thing is...
completely atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... it's the fact that you are receiving these. There should be a cap on individual donations from
£5,000 or something, wasn't it?
I think it's £100,000. They want to bring on personal donations. No, on 100. They want to bring. I think it's £100,000 on personal donations. If it's like trade unions, that's different because you obviously people have to vote on it. The whole situation. Yeah. But that stops people like this crypto millionaire. Stops the Godfather. Lord Bamford throwing whatever at Boris and now throwing whatever at Reform, and that because it does make an impact. It does mean that you can, but also we have this whole thing with the algorithm and the fact that Elon Musk, good morning, as my ex profile goes down the. But you see what I'm saying here? That's undue influence, and it's not. I think it's trying to keep the playing field level, but it should be looked at. Why would a crypto supremo be donating that amount of money to the party? I mean, because I know he said that Farage wants to make the UK, if he becomes Prime Minister, the centre of crypto dealing. You're looking at me with that look, Andres.
Well, because you just said it. I think what it is that if he's ahead in the polls and he's going to be Prime Minister, to support this guy might be beneficial for the crypto guy back in Thailand. Be beneficial when he's Prime Minister to sort of maybe move his crypto operations to the UK and become a global thing. I don't know, but that's what we have to avoid. And that's what the British public, when they go and vote, they have to think, is this the right guy? Is he going to take us to the path that we need? Yeah. Is he going to be good for the NHS? Is he going to be good for our teachers?
No,
is he going to be for all those things? The question is no, and he is just in for himself.
To the lines we go. Morning, Corley, live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Morning, Charles. It's Peter.
Morning, Peter.
Going on a little bit of a tangent.
All right.
I think you know by now what I think of the majority of politicians and those that run for office. Back in 1978, when I first started working in the Shetlands, flying back to the flying back to Glasgow to then fly on home, I found myself sat on an aeroplane next to Screaming Lord Sutch, him of the Monster Raving Lunan Party.
Okay.
And he was one of the most interesting guys I've ever sat and listened to. And his views on politics were quite eye-opening. Very, very interesting man.
Yeah.
So, and going back...
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, go on. I say not an idiot, that boy, because he had to be, he fought many elections, didn't he? Made by-elections.
Yeah, but not only that, he started all this and he was a lot more serious. So the joke side of it is one thing, but he was a serious guy. So, and he managed to make a lot of people aware of a lot of faults of those so-called politicians. But secondly, we were talking about race and colour and that before, and Gary mentioned it, until we managed to, on both sides, realise what's going on. You just said you knocked somebody, called him an orange man. So That's
No, I didn't mean he was a
his skin
member of
colour.
the Orange, the House of Hanover or anything, my friend.
Well, is that, and not only that, there's the Orangemen in Ireland. They're a serious political movement.
That's what I'm saying.
But if I was to talk of Barack Obama and say I didn't like him of a dirty brown colour, that wouldn't be correct, would it?
Correct. No, exactly. I see where you're coming from here, Gary. Peter, it's a relevant point.
Don't call me Gary.
Sorry,
I'm not from that part of Hampshire.
Excuse. Immediately I said it. I put my rather large tongue back in, and I could, before I dug myself a bit even deeper hole. But well spotted, and I will accept that as well. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Right. So
thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. 952 78 4000 is the phone number. studio@tre.radio is the email. The Facebook page is Talk Radio Europe Official. Right, well, we will, I think we may move on for that second half. We're going to look at the devastation from the fires, and also it's been sweeping Spain and other parts of Europe as well. Interesting. UK. Well, that just counts as Europe still, as a land mass. Yeah, you can't geographically move it, Andres. But thank you for coming in on that one. Back after this, I think.
Radio Europe.
Your voice in Spain.
Discuss, challenge, inform, comment, Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe.
Giles Brown. Live comment and discussion with studio guests.
Viewpoint.
Welcome back, second half of Viewpoint with the evergreen Alia Babapule. Other colours are available, apparently. And also committed European Andres Gallardo.
I meant continental Europe.
Continental Europe, rather than the actual. Yes, we hadn't actually unchained the UK from its. That was one thing that we were looking for Brexit, unchaining the UK and floating it off somewhere in the North Atlantic Treaty. But nay. 952 78 4000 if you want to get something national, international or local across, you want to get it off your chest. Looking at my Facebook poll that we put up on Talk Radio Official, it's pretty obvious what a lot of people are thinking about this whole situation, about should there be more protection for British politicians. At the moment, 100% of you think there shouldn't be round-the-clock police protection for all politicians. As we were saying before, at the moment it extends only to former prime ministers. That's obviously in the wake of the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The last thing I want to say about this whole Bin-Face versus Farage, there's been a poll by Ipsos, who are recognised pollsters. 33% want Camp Bin-Face, 21% want Farage, 32% neither, 13% don't know. And commenting on the finding, Kieran Pedley, research director at Ipsos in the UK, say, of course it's the people of Clacton that will vote in the upcoming by-election, not the public overall, but the fact is 1 in 5 Britain would prefer Nigel Farage wins, reflects how his personal poll ratings have fallen over the past year, even if Reform supporters remain very much behind him. Elsewhere, the poll, we see strong support for parliamentary standards investigations continuing, even if Mr Farage wins the by-election, suggesting his assumed victory will not make these issues go away. To the lines we go. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Good morning, Giles. It's Jason.
Hello, Jason.
I'm back again. I've been out of it in the wilderness. How are you? Are you okay?
I'm very well, thank you, my friend. What can we do for you on this moment?
Well, is Selena okay? Because everything.
Selena will be back on the 1st of August. Okay.
Oh, thank God for that. Because she's really.
Well, I've been trying to fill in, but yes, good to hear. Yeah.
Okay. What I want to talk. You did your best. What I want to talk about is. What I want to talk
Quite
about.
that way, Jason.
Yeah, I want to.
It's all right. I can take it, Jason. It's all right.
Very thick skin.
That's it. You take it.
Listen, you can't have it all, Giles. You can't have it all. Okay.
Right, go on, Jason.
Right. So I wanted to talk about something that people have probably seldom thought about, and it's something called the Koffler effect. all
The
the
what? Sorry, the what effect? Sorry,
the Koppler effect.
Right.
It was first mentioned in 1976, I think it was, by Dr. Koppler, and he predicted that in lower Earth orbit there would be more and more satellites densely packed in the orbit of Earth, which is where the National Space Station is. And the problem is, with all the 10,000 satellites and the 3,500 redundant ones traveling at 18,000 miles an hour, all the broken bits, even something the size of a marble can destroy or puncture the International Space Station. So they have to move it. They have to move satellites all the time to avoid obstacles. And the concern is this: with all the predicted Amazon satellites and the ones from Elon Musk, the lower orbit is getting more and more densely packed. Space, because it's big, but it can be a problem. And what he said, that one day a satellite would lose its GPS. It could be a solar flare that fried the circuit. It could be a malfunction, and one satellite bumps into the next, and then you've got 2,000 pieces finding the next target, which is the next satellite, and it just compounds and compounds, and there's millions and millions of pieces. And within 90 minutes, because that speed, that's all it takes for satellites to orbit the Earth, everything's gone. You've lost all communication, you've lost all digital communication, you've lost all technology. Aeroplanes can't fly. You can never leave the planet again because you can't get through a contaminated atmosphere. But then it gets worse. Every revolution, the pieces get smashed into smaller and smaller and smaller particles, like nanoparticles, like glitter, which then reflect the sun away and stop photosynthesis growing food for 20 years. So this is something that nobody's really talked about, but it's a more significant threat to civilization, something like that. It's not all the other things we worry about. And, there's like a tipping point. And if we keep putting things in our atmosphere, and don't have the control, one day, one satellite will bump into another, and that's all it takes. And then you've got this cascade effect, and you've totaled your atmosphere. You can't have a 20-year break in food production on the planet. Solar panels become less effective, but of course it reflects a lot of the UV light away. So it's something that maybe Mr. Ritson could discuss, because it's quite clever, isn't he? I call him the Oracle. And it's something that needs to be discussed, because we've got a responsibility to take care of our atmosphere just like our planet. And when your atmosphere is gone, you'll miss it. And there's 25,000 tons of space junk floating around at the moment. So we're not really doing good housekeeping, and it's a bit stupid, really, because we could end up in that nightmare scenario quite logically, quite realistically very soon. So I just wanted to put it up in the air. There's people who understand this more than I, and there's not the technology to undo the damage yet if it happens. So spaceflight stops. You can never go outside your orbit at 18,000 miles an hour, debris floating around. Do you understand?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with that one.
So instead of spending all these billions and trillions colonizing Mars, would it not be better?
Well, you won't be able to get there, will you? Because you'll run into a marble, and that'll be the end of Elon Musk's space flight, because he'll be derailed by a marble hosted by his own petard, my friend.
Exactly. We should take care of this planet instead of wasting money on colonizing other planets. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
But we must stop you there, because obviously Cam Binfight does describe himself as a space politician, so he may be the man we're looking. Cometh the hour, cometh the Binfight. Listen, it's really good to hear from you guys. Thank you very much, Jason.
Selena. See you soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Right then. Indeed. Selena will be back on the 1st of August. You can all breathe a sigh of relief to that one. If you want to get involved and talk about space rubbish or anything else that is crossing your radar, it's probably been jumbled now by the aforementioned Jason's debris floating around the atmosphere, because when your atmosphere is gone, quote unquote, you'll miss it.
I like the idea that put in my head, Jason, now saying that we have to take care of the atmosphere as well as the planet. So we can't look after the planet, and now we have to look after the atmosphere.
Well, if you save the planet and not the atmosphere, There's going to be how long can you hold your breath for?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good question.
Indeed. Moving swiftly onwards.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
Right then. Stop it. Right then. Good morning to Sheila in Callahan. It says, your panel speak a lot of sense, as always, enjoying the programme. I should have added to my text, I wouldn't trust, you've called him Farage, which I think is even better. Farage, as far as I can throw him, the only nest he'll be feathering is his own. So that's that. Thank you very much for that one. Let's move on from all things British politics. Let's move on to these tragic fires that devastated the Almeria region. 3 days of official mourning throughout Andalusia from Friday till Sunday. 13 at the moment confirmed fatalities. The majority of them seem to be British and Belgian. We are going through a heat wave. Juan Moreno, the head of the president of Andalusia, said we're only just at the beginning of the season. This is very worrying indeed for everybody involved. Andres, you could say, oh well, it's always been thus. We've had wildfires for years and etc. etc. I'm going to say something. I'm going to get on my soapbox in a minute, but I'll let you guys go off on one first of all.
No, it's very worrying because there is something that the first time I heard it was about 2 or 3 years ago when we had the big fire here in Estepona and Sierra Bermeja. And they were talking about something I'd never heard before, which is the 6th generation fires. Oh, yeah. And apparently this is what we had in Almeria in the last few days.
It's the ones that they create their own atmosphere, don't they?
That's correct. And the speed of the movement of the fire in this particular case was so fast that they surprised even the sort of well-trained firefighters. The surprise that it was going so quickly. They said it moved quicker, 4 times quicker than a normal fire. So we are in front of real baddies out there with this, and they're very, very difficult to control. It seems that we are going to get this kind of event more often, because Juanma Moreno was saying this is the kind of thing you would see towards the end of August, but we're at the beginning of July. Yes. So the season is going to be very, very long, and if it continues like this, we can expect more fires. The management of it has been somehow criticised. You always get criticised when there are casualties, and in this case we had 13 people perishing in this fire, which must be absolutely horrible. And one of the things that they stressed, the authorities were saying, please do follow the instructions of the experts, because don't think that you can find a shortcut here or there because they haven't told you to do that. It might be dangerous. So if for what it's worth, the message is just to try to follow the instructions of the experts on that, because these fires are very difficult to control. They are unusual in the speed that they gather, and they can be very, very damaging for life. So let's be all extra vigilant.
Alia.
I was also thinking about what's happened over here in our neck of the woods. Montemayor had a big fire going on, and now we've had another disaster on the Benavis Road going up.
That was
the toll road.
Traffic. That was traffic accident.
It was an accident which caused a fire because it was a petrol tanker which fell down and burst into flames as it was falling down, and then hit the ground, and the whole of the thing spread. Also, I know the loss of life of people is absolutely heartbreaking. My heart goes out to all the wildlife which have got nothing to do with this, and they must be absolutely petrified Because where did they go? And then you have the numpties who go off into the campo, Giles and I were talking about it, and, have picnics and this, that and the other.
Well, I mean, in France, they're saying that they've made 59 arrests in France for people starting fires.
Awesome.
I mean...
Why? I mean, what kind of twisted mind do you have to do this?
You have to differentiate. There are fires. They are
natural starting ones as well.
Yeah, no, but sometimes there are accidents. People do a barbecue in a place where they shouldn't do a barbecue, and they cause a fire.
I call them
and then there's another. Yeah, those are I won't use any adjectives for that. But anyway, and then there are those who are intentionate, that they want to cause it. So there are different ways, of causing a fire. That's why we have to be extra vigilant. But one thing that I'd like to stress, yesterday lunchtime in Spain, there were 129 fires throughout the country.
Yeah.
So, of course, we focused on the one where there were fatalities, which was in Almeria. But let's not forget, the rest of Spain are suffering from fires. If you go to France, you got this similar situation.
Yes.
It seems to be Western Europe who suffer the most. And then you go to the UK, and I think it was a Peak district that had a fire yesterday.
Yeah, and there's also in the Yorkshire Moors as well. There are fires, but they were worrying as well that these fires are now coming to urban areas. And my thing about this is the fact that there's the fire in Almeria. Okay, the fire. But my thought is this: fire in Almeria. They're not sure if it's a down power line, and Dessa said it wasn't us. You remember the fires that swept and destroyed the Laguna village was started by somebody who had literally a 3-point plug running in the campo, which was never a good idea. My theory, one of my thoughts is that with the huge amounts of construction that is going on throughout Spain, but particularly we're seeing here in the Costa del Sol, and the further and further it gets pushed back. Yeah, and I was staying at my friend's place on the East End Road the other day, and that is a UNESCO biosphere right on the edge of that, and they are building right to the edge of this place. Now, more people and these places, in these areas which are beautiful, and the promotional package say, living amongst naturaleza. I will put my tongue firmly in my cheek about my thoughts about any developer, good morning, who decides that, and they call it something like, so-and-so forest, so-and-so, the views, etc. But, it's in the promotional, living in harmony with nature, but then these people complain about the wild boar, and it's like, well, because, you leave your bin out, you'll get wild boar, because it's then the habitat, right? And then you plonk a development of 120 units, or a super lujo with its own pool or whatever, its natural lake up there, and you are increasing the risk of a wildfire in a virgin habitat that's gotten very few wild breaks. It can only take some person coming down from Northern Europe and deciding to have a barbecue, because we don't know. And the embers of that, I've seen it when I used to live on the lake, people having barbecues and going, it's okay because we're standing by the barbecue. Well, it only takes one ember to fly off, and then you have huge problems. Or you have an electrical problem. You have a short circuit. You have a piece of glass that is dropped in winter, and then it doesn't biodegrade in 6 months, and there you have the situation. And we are going to see more and more of this happening, I think, throughout Spain. And these beautiful natural areas are going to get devastated by carelessness, by construction, and by greed. And I know that might sound like one of Jason's rants, but it's one of my I haven't got on my soapbox quite yet, sung the International, but give me 5 minutes. But you see what I'm saying from here. The more that we allow people to encroach on green areas, which are for the good of everybody, for the short-term gain of a couple of hundred units, the more we run the risk of fires like the horrendous one that we saw in Sierra Bermeja. Alia. I
said it to you this morning. I had heard from the concierge where I live, who is actually very up with all the things going on in and around Marbella, and I was horrified when I heard this. The huge tract of land where King Fahd built his palace way back in the 80s. Now, that stretches from the N340 all the way up to Coto Real. And on the left-hand side, there is a green zone. You cannot build on it. This apparently has been, I'm not sure, I will go and check all of this, but bear with me. This has apparently been given to the Marbella Town Hall now to construct luxury villas and apartments. This is a massive area of green.
Yeah.
full of trees, bushes, plants and everything, robbing again all of the oxygen and all of the nutrients and everything which is to the benefit of us, to put up some more buildings. Exactly what you said. So,
Andreas, I know you're looking because obviously you're involved in the industry in terms of but you're an intelligent person. You see the.
I see it, and of course, developing without control, without taking into consideration all the factors is irresponsible. And I agree with that. I always said it. I always will say it. You have to take into account water, infrastructures, roads, all that kind of thing, as well as the environment. And that is very important. What I was going to say, I don't want to get too much into that because I sound like a real estate whistleblower kind of thing. But what I'd like to say is that a lot of stress has been put on prevention, and I'll let your caller and I'll develop this.
Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Charles, Peter again.
Hello, Peter.
Hello. Just adding on to what you just said.
Yeah.
And if you can hear in the background, I'm obviously a campo dweller because the cicadas are...
Oh, you can hear them in the background. How wonderful. Yes, indeed. The scariest insect shells I ever saw, it took me a while to work out what they were. I thought that we were being invaded by aliens. Cicadas shells, but yeah.
When I first came here 20 odd years ago, I thought there was a problem with the electric pylon at the bottom of the garden. So that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. Anyway, how can we help you, mate?
Well, just touching on what you said, talking about nature, and that, you're absolutely right. And I think Andreas said about the amount of fires that are burning. A wildfire is anything that's not controlled. So it's the same in America where they say there's been a shooting, there's a gun gone off. A fire can be a tiny little fire. I'm not downgrading the problem, but they say about hundreds I read the other day 200 and something fires going, which is ridiculous, and they should concentrate on the main stuff. But again, these fires are mostly stupidity. As I've said before, más cabras en las montanas, menos cabrones en las espacios. I've just had, because I've got 26,000 square metres of land, I've got pylons that go over the top of the land, and I've just had Endesa down. Great bunch of young guys, and they work for Endesa, and they're suited and booted, and they're ripping out. They got huge, great machines, robotic machines, everything going through the river that runs through my place, cutting down all the canes. I mean, they're cutting a swathe of about 50 metres, everything below the cables. So they are trying. They're doing their best, and great guys. I got to chat with them. They left me loads of logs. So anyway,
excellent. That's your winter sorted anyway. Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, that's a couple of winters down the line. Yeah. But because I live in the campo, and when I go out on an unmade road, because I can get out of my land on two sides, going down the coast or up to the village, and people walk their dogs up here, and I don't know how many times, at least once a week, I have to stop and tell somebody that they've just parked their car on dry grass that's a foot or two long.
Yeah.
They've driven from the coast in their little flat. They've driven up here, and then they parked their car straight on the grass. And when I tell them that, they look at me like I'm an alien. So I think the powers that be need to... The thing is, they're always scaremongering. They should put out some information on people. Years ago, we used to have Tufty telling how to cross the road. Why don't they get people tell people what they should and shouldn't be doing? Also, the motorway is only a few kilometres down from me. Sometimes I'm living in Vietnam here when the helicopters go over because they're watching those.
Yeah,
I've got videos of it. You know, like,
got
I love the smell of napalm first thing in the morning. You know,
got some more calls coming in, Peter. But thank you for the call. But but don't park on the dry grass, people. Take Peter's advice. Morning, caller. You're live on TRE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your viewpoint, please?
Hi, Giles. It's Christine.
Hi, Christine.
I'm just calling. Hi there. How you doing?
Very well.
I'm just calling you. I don't know if we've touched on this subject before, but I have heard through the grapevine and seen in the papers that Andalusia, or certainly Malaga area, has run out of electricity for new builds, which means that people who are paying step by step to buy their luxury little home in Calamicas or wherever the hell, they cannot get a first occupancy license without water and electricity. And it seems that certain builders at the moment are ready to hand over properties, and I won't name who it is.
Right.
And they have 300 apartments up in a, shall we say, a relatively wealthy area. And apparently I heard they only had electricity for 30. So they then had to go to Estepona or somebody to try and beg, borrow and steal electricity. Now, surely the town hall cannot keep issuing licenses when the infrastructure does not exist. And only when it comes to the stage now, when people want to take over their keys of their new property, they're all going to find out that there are legal problems.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever discussed that on your panel? Because this is serious.
That sounds like a job for Campbell Ferguson. I'll bring him in next week. How's that if he's around?
It's seriously serious, and
Right.
It's something that all these people coming from all over Europe thinking of buying their luxury homes, they're in for a big shock in the next 5 years. And the story is that nobody wants to buy new now because although they are known as 40% overpriced, they all want to buy an older property and knock it down and rebuild because there's electricity.
Ah, right.
And I have neighbours downstairs who have been banging the place for 7 months and I can't sleep, but they have gutted the whole place because it's easier than trying to buy a new place with no electricity.
Well, I shall investigate with that. I shall get
It's a big topic.
Right. Well, in which case, I shall look at Campbell, and we shall see if we can go and get him on next week. How's that for a plan?
It's been on Olive Press as well, so you can talk to him there. He'll know.
Well, if it's John Clark and his Merry Men, then what could possibly go wrong? I talk as a man who has worked with John. I've known and worked with John for over 20 years. So therefore, thanks very much for that call in. Right then, coming up to 27 minutes to the top of the hour, going to some of the. Well, I'll come back to you, Andres, if you want on this in a minute. But Read the Fires, I found out they're easy to start. This is from Don. A few years ago, I rented a small villa in Galtama. I cut the grass and threw the cuttings onto some wasteland nearby me. Within a short time, this spontaneously combusted. That made panic. Sheila, here, Giles. Here, Giles. They've wrecked this beautiful coast. It's not what it was 35 years ago when I came here. So sad. Thank you for those indeed. Right.
There's a huge hoo-ha going on now, but I mean a massive one on the other side of Marbella. Apparently, I can't bring it up on my telephone, but there's swaths of land which have been cut to make boxes again of new build. But it is absolutely ridiculous how much land has been cut and the way that they have cut it. I think you can go and find it on Marbella Se Queja and also look it up on the news because it's really appalling. Again, destruction of habitat. And as very true, what about infrastructure? What about our road system? What about the water, which is getting worse and worse because we had before 2 years of drought. Now we had last year finally some heavy rains and this year as well. And more people coming down here. It's simply not built for all of this.
So the lines are going to go, and they'll come to you, Andres. Morning, caller, you're live on TRE. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
I didn't actually call you. My phone called you. It must like you. But right. Right. So you were on my subject, which I like, which is environmental.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I wanted to draw a metaphor. So as regards the planet and the environment. Mankind is like the band playing the music on the Titanic as it irreversibly sunk. What we've got is a blind indifference towards...
Hello? Jason?
Hello there, are you there? There's lots of
there's
lots of things going on in the background. So
okay. So
I can hear myself speaking in the background.
Yeah, it will be
really annoying.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you for.
It's all right. Let me continue. If you can hear me, I'll continue.
Just go for it, Jason.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I compare the present mentality, the hubris, the arrogance of mankind towards the planet and the environment to the band playing on the Titanic as it irreversibly sunk. And I'm a realist. I'm not a pessimist or an optimist. To fix a problem, everybody has to work together on the planet, which is unlikely to happen because everybody wants to fight each other and nobody wants to unify and work together. And the problem is the tipping point is almost reached. And if we do not turn this ship around quick, we're done. And The problem is that the economic growth on the planet is they think is infinite, but you've got finite resources. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So we're reaping what we've sown, not just now, but for 200 years. And it's going to bite us in the ass soon, and there's no escape. And this is the problem. It's our arrogance.
Is that a technical term, Jason?
Bringing us down.
Is that a technical term you just used? Bite us in the arsenal? Thank you for calling, my friend.
Okay, take care.
Thanks indeed. I'm going to take a quick break.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. I'm going to take a new break. I'm going to take a quick break while we debate that particular environmental concern.
Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with Giles Brown.
21 minutes left of this morning's Viewpoint. If you want to get involved with the conversation, here are the numbers.
To contact TRE, please call 952 78 4000. Email studio@tre.radio. Send us a WhatsApp on +34 645 99 67 95. Message us on Facebook, Talk Radio Europe Official, or tweet us at TRE Talk Radio.
952 78 4000 is the phone number. Looking at some of the forecasts, London is 31 degrees today. The forecast time, that's 10.2% above the normal. Paris 35 degrees, 12.9%. Rome 36. I was in Barcelona and Madrid over the weekend. That was interesting. Blimey. Well, luckily, the good thing about the Gran Via, and you know, in your home state, my dear fellow, at least the Gran Via is wide enough so that you actually get a pleasing sea breeze come down there. But Madrid was, if I hadn't, luckily I was wearing my Camp Binface outfit, but my goodness, I mean, I was absolutely sauna. I mean, the metro is not pleasant in Madrid. It wasn't pleasant, I mean, when I'm there normally, but I mean, living in cities, etc., and we're seeing more and more fires coming urban. I mean, do we think that this is a wake-up call to people in general? I mean, you could be having a barbecue. You could be having a barbecue, in your little pied-à-terre in Madrid and still set off a fire, and off we go.
Yeah. Look, I think we've gone past the part where we have to reverse the global warming and everything else. I think that point is gone.
Well, we've gone beyond that. Reversible Titanic, as Jason said.
Yeah, I mean...
Great name for a band, by the way.
Honestly, I think we mentioned this last week or the week before when we said what we have to do now is adapt to what is coming in terms of global warming. One being the fires.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that has been talked these weeks in all the Spanish administrations and the Spanish press and everything else is prevention. Mm-hmm. And I am all for prevention. In fact, I can see the road that you mentioned going towards Istan.
Yeah.
I see during the winter months, I see how they do work on the sides, doing fire blogs and everything during the winter
you can see that,
in case it happens in the summer, so they are prepared, so they can get the machinery in the areas where they need to put the machinery to stop the fires and everything else. But I don't know if you've stopped to think the size of Andalusia.
Yeah.
To do that work in the whole of Andalusia for fire prevention, it's an impossible task.
Yeah,
you can put a lot. I mean, you can stress on particular areas which are more likely to, but you're not going to do all of them.
I was looking at the fire map from Infoca, which is the
fire service.
Fire service down here. But it is, and there were only 3 in Andalusia active ones. One of them was the massive one in Almeria, which has been under control. One of them was this road fire, which was, horrendous crash where a petrol truck hits a grewer that's picking up a car. Yes. I mean, just beggars
and
belief.
A taxi.
And a taxi, which is obviously, and another. And if you think about Andalusia, it's basically the size of Wales. I mean, pretty much, isn't it? I mean, in terms of, I would say, Wales.
Even bigger, I would say.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I'm just, the UK,
bigger,
which is part of Europe.
It's the size of England.
Okay, I'm sure that one of my boffins out there will So
I'm sure someone will
saying Stephen Richardson could do it. He's intelligent. Yeah, I know. I know he's intelligent. He's a bit like if we're all Thunderbirds, he's brains, isn't he? Basically. Yeah. Anyway, so basically, But it is quite a marvel that that there were only 3 active fires in the whole region yesterday. When you consider what going on at the moment. Got this in from Paul. Said he drove past the Conway fire last Sunday, and it's still going in bizarre sound. The A55 coastal road, the sea on the left, a fire on the right, and there's a thing called Fire Map Live, which says North America and Iberian Peninsula pretty lit up at the moment. Well, they kind of that's good. Oh, blimey. Oh, that's my new obsession for Fire Map. That is all the fires in all the world. Alaska doesn't seem to be doing too well today. Presumably that was presumably it's cold up there and they're trying to keep themselves warm. Britain's been on to say, what's the question? Okay, Stephen. The question is, which is bigger, Andalusia or Wales? So that can be a start.
I can answer it.
For 10.
Andalusia is bigger than Wales. I think I heard someone a long time ago saying Andalusia is the size of England. Right, so there's your job, Britain.
Right, and meanwhile, Stephen, just to let you know that Stephen Ritson will be on at 1 o'clock, not 12. I don't want to give him a heart attack like I did last week, so my many apologies. This is great. I'm loving Fire Map Live. This is really good fun.
You are right.
Stephen, if you've not checked this out, or anybody, firemap.live, that absolutely fits. You can fit 2.4 whales in Andalusia.
Whoa, there you go.
So big.
So there you go. So if you only had that's yes, indeed. Thank you. Right, moving swiftly onwards. I think we should do into the last 15 minutes.
Just wanted to quickly say something, talking about climate change and so on and so forth. Have you seen how many whales are dying because of the heat? Also, and fish in millions being killed because the water's too warm. The seas are too hot.
Yes, it's, as I said before, I think it's irreversible, and what we have to do is just have a way of being able to survive.
4.2 whales in Andalusia, yes, that's what we're saying, yes.
Yeah.
There's like Costa Rica.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to be prepared for floods, because that's what happened.
Remember with Valencia.
It happened in Valencia, it was atrocious. We have to be prepared for the fires, because this is what we see in the 6th generation fire. Is what we're going to get more and more often.
And wind. Wind is going to be another problem.
If it's wind, let be wind, but let's be prepared so we don't have fatalities and not, avoid loss of life. And that is a difficult task, because we as a race, as a human race, we have failed to stop the looking after the environment enough to avoid these situations. Now we have to live with it, and now we have to prepare for it. It's not going to be the end of the world, but we have to be prepared for it, because otherwise we're going to get more and more disasters. And if we're not prepared, we're going to have loss of life and situations like we've seen, on a regular basis, in terms of flooding, fires, and other weather-related catastrophes, Even cold spells, that they are unusual.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We had the famous Filomena in Madrid, that froze the whole city suddenly, So what's that all that about?
I said, I think a few weeks ago, we were talking about this. As a little girl, when I went from Sri Lanka over to the UK, there were 4 seasons. There was winter and spring and summer and autumn. And now there's a complete hodgepodge of everything. You know, half the time you don't know what to wear. You put something on, you take it off.
That's a big problem, what to wear.
Yeah. Really, also.
We have to be prepared for that.
Also, because you just don't know. One day it is hot and one day it is cold. And it is. But I remember very clearly, as a little girl, those 4 seasons, and you could go dress accordingly. Mind you, I'm going back an awfully long time.
I find a white floaty number is best for, and a wrap. Let's take one more break, and then we will be into the last 10 minutes of this morning's Viewpoint.
Viewpoint on Talk Radio Europe with Giles Brown.
Now, we've got 10 minutes, so I'm going to get here again. This is the sound of me getting on my soapbox. So I'm on my soapbox. Do you like the soapbox, by the way?
Wow, you are standing up now.
It's the soapbox. I stand on. I forgot to put up the thing. Right. So now there's some. You may have noticed, but there's some football going on at the moment, right?
No.
Yeah, no, really. Trust me on this one. That's why I'm an investigative journalist. I find these things out. Okay.
Good God.
And tonight, two things. One of them is the fact that if you think this tonight will be but darling, I think we should nip out to that little Spanish tapas bar that we haven't been to yet and try it out, because I've heard the service is wonderful. We should maybe go for a bit of rabo de toro. Well, don't even think about it tonight, because 9 o'clock you will not get served, because Andres, what's happening at 9 o'clock tonight?
France, Spain in the World Cup
on Bastille Day. That is a picture of the French supporters just arriving in this the Bastille Day parade on the Sky News. And there are massed ranks of. That's a defence. Yeah,
it is.
Those are very silly helmets, aren't they?
Those are really
very silly helmets.
That is them to count.
That is La Légion, the Comte de Bin, the famous fromage region. Right, moving swiftly onwards. But the thing is, right. So tonight we have Spain against France. We'll come on to a minute, but I just want to talk about England v Argentina, because they're meeting in tomorrow night's game. And since we came on air, Sky News and other newspaper things are available. All they've been doing is get ahead of there are three things there were two things I was expecting. Hand of God, Diego Maradona, that goal. Beckham being sent off because of Diego Simeone in 1998. And then they start putting up things of the conflict in the Malvinas, Falklands, call you what you will. Now, in my honest opinion, that is inflammatory and just downright.
Stupid.
There we go. It is like, imagine if we were facing Germany and suddenly started putting pictures of the Blitz on. Or imagine if we're facing Spain and we go even further and we go full Blackadder and we have the Armada and we have singeing the king. We go back to Gadith and the pirateer, the privateer Drake, singeing was it Raleigh? It was Raleigh, singeing the Philip II's beard. Lots of Spanish going, ah. I mean, that's not good, is it? To put it mildly.
No.
Right.
It's a football match.
I mean, why? Who thought to go there to picture the Belgrano sinking ahead? I mean, that is just because some boneheads will no doubt go, oh, it's the art, and we are lucky enough to be blessed here in southern Spain. I mean, okay, England play Argentina at rugby all the time. We never get this thing because obviously that's my game, but hey, now in the meantime, of course, Spain will France. Spain will face France tonight in what we hope will be an absolute exhibition of free-flowing football. But in the meantime, cometh the hour, cometh the man. If it's not Aznar, then, ladies and gentlemen, coming off the subs bench like Vinnie Jones on the Vino, who've we got?
Mariano Rajoy.
Oh, that's all!
Our former Prime Minister came out yesterday with an article in some newspaper. He writes...
El Debate.
El Debate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. What is El Debate, by the way? Is it some sort of...
I'm not sure. It's some kind of publication. I don't follow it, so sorry for not knowing that little bit. But he came out with something in the lines of France have got a very good team, but not many French players.
Oh, yes, God. Oh,
now, my God, that's caused a terrible backlash of calling him racist, calling him all sorts of things. Funnily enough, and I do believe that, he was trying to be funny. But he wasn't.
Yes, that well-known after-dinner spit. How are sides, ladies and gentlemen?
It's the kind of thing, if you said that in a pub, someone might sort of
You wouldn't even say that in a pub. It's like saying, oh, they're not French because they're,
excuse me. I've heard worse things in a pub.
You drink to different pubs.
And I've been a Spaniard working and living in the UK for 18 years, and I know how cruel you can be to anything foreign. So I know because I lived it and I suffered it. And then you hide that behind the word banter, which it took me a while to understand what that meant. But when I got it, then I understood that it wasn't personal. It was was banter.
It was just casual racism.
Yeah, to have banter,
Tucker.
To have banter in a pub, you know, you can take it or not, but that's okay. What is not acceptable is for a former prime minister to make a comment in a written article when you've had time to think what you're writing. But you know.
But also, I mean, I hate to point it out to the esteemed former leader of Spain and Partido Popular Grandi, but there just happens to be the small issue that, you know, the Lamine and Nico Williams, you could also say...
Exactly.
Yeah,
we live in evolving societies, like everything. We are in an evolving world. You know, language is something that's evolving all the time. Societies are evolving all the time. The environment evolving all the time. We've just been talking about it. So we are an evolving society, and we have to accept the things that are not the same as they were 50 or 60 years ago. You know, when everyone in Spain was González or Garcia, and in France was, Chevalier, and in England were all Smith or Brown.
Oi, what's wrong with that?
Sorry.
Sorry, Giles. I'm offended.
And we're an evolving society. Spain have got Nico Williams, and he's got Yamal as well.
Yeah.
So in years to come, that percentage in the football team will probably change. He's done in France, and he's done in the UK as well, and in Switzerland.
Yeah,
Don't tell me that Mboko is a typical surname from the Swiss region.
It's what they say when they come out. Yeah, come out.
It's from Appenzeller.
Mboko. Isn't that what they say? The cuckoo clock.
Yeah, well, you see that comment like that, it could be taken as racist.
Yeah, but the great thing about... because
you're British, you hide behind the word banter.
Because that was the fact that the match between Colombia and Switzerland was described, because of the two natural products, it was basically a case of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So, moving swiftly onwards, have there been any sort of... Muslim Spanish, but that will be the real.
Yamal is Muslim.
Of course he is. Yes.
Yeah.
And but I mean, Maghrebi who have come. You know, his mother is.
They're Moroccan. The parents are Moroccan, and they emigrated to Barcelona, Tarrasa, I think, or Manresa, one of the two, which is a town near Barcelona, and he was born there, I believe, and so. He's for intents and purposes, he's a Spanish boy. He was born here, went to school here. He's a Spanish boy. I mean, you had the case of the tennis player Ferry in Wimbledon. He's a French boy. You know, the parents are French. He was born in France, but he's been educated and grew up in England, so he feels English. You know, so we have to accept that they are. You know, we're evolving, and then we're mobile. So people moved from one place to another. Children are born here, and you know. You've got another tennis player, Davidovich Fokina. That's not a Spanish surname, but the boy was born in Malaga and grew up in Malaga. So if you hear him talk, you say, he's a Malagueño, you know, but if you see the name, you think, where is he from?
Yeah, and in a world where the Partido Popular councillor for Benavides is being turned down for Spanish nationality, Scott, because he was born here. He's the party,
and he's not Spanish enough.
They said he's not Spanish enough because he didn't sit the exam.
Well, there you go. So we have to get used to all these things. You know, it's a normal evolution of society. And the same applies to language, the same applies to environment, the same applies to, you know, warfare. You know, that we used to go to with tanks. Now we don't use tanks. Apparently we use
drones.
Super powerful drones. Who was going to say, yeah?
I don't know what I'm going to do with my scythed chariot, but anyway. And
it still comes down to, stupidly enough, people making idiotic remarks about the colour of your skin, which has got nothing to do with the ability of the person. If it's in any field whatsoever, how you look has got nothing to do with your brain power.
Indeed. Whether they be
white,
yellow, orange, brown.
Doesn't matter.
You know.
In the case of Rajoy, I think he should stand up and apologise.
I think it's the best. I think it's the most stupid remark since Aznar said, "I always drive better after a couple of glasses of wine." Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That was on the road safety campaign.
Now I know why there were lots of police down where I live, because he was whistling around
whistling around, not having a relaxing cup of coffee.
Yes.
The poll came up with the idea that we shouldn't be, by the way, it was 100%. Pretty no grey area there. I was asking should politicians have around the clock protection, and they're saying no, not absolutely. So we've got that one almost out of time. Once again, it's been my pleasure and my privilege to bring you this morning's Viewpoint. My thanks to my guests, Alia Babapuli, as always. Alia, my
pleasure. It was great fun today,
as always.
But always.
And also Andres Gallardo. Go and buy a house from the man, for goodness sake, because he's environmentally conscious of nothing else.
Environmental conscious, yes. Thank you very much, Giles, and I hope to enjoy the football tonight and be celebrating into the early hours of the morning.
And we might have a Spain-England final. What could possibly go wrong?
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
Stephen Richardson is not standing by, but he's just let me know that you can fit 700 million blue whales in Andalusia, but where would you put them?
Sadly, not anymore, because a lot of the blue whales have died off, Stephen.
Other coloured whales are available. I will be back. Stephen, don't worry. I'm not going to give you a heart attack. Stephen's on at 1 o'clock. I'm back with Let's Talk. Speak to you in a minute.
Lost in any way by Talk Radio Europe.
You've been listening to a TRE production. If you've enjoyed this programme, there'll be another episode waiting for you next week, right here on this platform, where you can also access our extensive back catalogue of shows and interviews. For more information on our live programming, social media channels and apps, and how to contact Talk Radio Europe, please visit TRE.radio.